Whoa guys, I'm feeling wild today. But maybe not as wild as this guy. It's a wild card. Welcome to the Gameweek 9 Wildcard Draft. So as some of you sexy sausages may know already, I have in fact smashed that button, the wildcard button, and my wildcard is currently active. So today I will be giving you my first of probably like 3,000 odd wildcard drafts right now to see what this big brain is currently thinking of. With the first player in my draft today being Emi Martinez. Wow, I love living life on the edge, right? With this very, very unpredictable and ballsy pick, right? Yeah, but like, come on. Villa have kept clean sheets against harder opponents, keeping the likes of Leicester and Arsenal out, and have also got some of the best upcoming fixtures already as well. And they've also played one less game than any other team, and have still kept the joint most amount of clean sheets out of any team as well. Whilst Martinez has also made quite a healthy amount of saves. Not too many saves that it will scare you that he might lose his clean sheet every game because he has to make that many saves. So just enough that he drizzles them in and seasons your FPL point tally by getting you a few extra points here and there. And the goalkeeper checklist for me is literally, he makes saves, he gets clean sheets, he gets bonus, and he's got good fixtures, and he's quite cheap. And what do you know? That exactly describes our geezer here. We're on that checklist, we might as well just put Emi's name on it because it's literally him. So he is here as our first player on this first wildcard draft. With our first defender here, that's probably going to be in every team, never mind every wildcard team, it's Benjamin Chilwell. Where if you have him in your team, you will be chilling well and getting all of the points. Whereas some of you will know, all of us super high experts already know, he's the third highest scoring defender out of anyone, and has also played up to 3 less games than any other defender as well. Damn son. But he has actually risen, gone up price quite a lot already, going from 5.5 million to already 6 million, half a mil already, and is now actually the most owned defender in the game. Wow, imagine saying that at the start of the season, that he would be the most owned defender over Trent Robertson, over anyone, after just 8 weeks. How things change, isn't it? But Chelsea have actually kept the joint most amount of clean sheets out of anyone. Yeah, Chelsea. Well, I'm there. And Chilwell has been a big part of that, but also has been a part of the attack as well, that has helped Chelsea to be the current top goal scorers out of any other team. Yeah, I know, right? They've actually scored more than the Liverpool, the Man Cities and all. So a defender, getting clean sheets, getting goals and assists as well, whilst also having quite a sexy run of fixtures. Now that is what we call lovely stuff. And just a player I think you have to get in right now. Now obviously there are some slightly cheaper alternatives at Chelsea, maybe a Mendy in goals. Or maybe here in the defence you could go for a Zuma or a slightly more risky Reece James as, you know, rotation risky. And you know what? There is the potential of both of these getting more points than Chilwell, and Chilwell is more expensive. But there's just that little bit more of extra security, extra safety with Chilwell, as his place is probably the most nailed on out of anyone, and he's still going to get all of the points. So that is why he is here. Moving on to our next defender, and it's a guy with better delivery than Amazon. It's Aaron Cresswell, Aaron Crosswell, I call him. With this season, he's had 3 assists and 3 clean sheets so far, actually being the main set-piece taker for a West Ham team that are usually a wibbly-wobbly mess at the back, but are now actually just a steady boat coasting along the sea and actually looking pretty good. Where yeah, they do have quite cheaper options going around in their defence, in like a Masuako or a Kofal, who I've been told is actually pronounced Tofal or Sofal. Zofal, I'm Welsh, leave me off with this one, right? But I feel no matter what happens with West Ham, like if they change it to a back 4 in some games, you know, to go for a bit of a different approach, or if they keep the system that they have been doing quite well this season, I think Cresswell is going to probably be the most guaranteed to play in that defence, and just keep on taking those set pieces as well, making him a potential threat in any game, even if they're not on top. But this one is definitely more up in the air than a hot air balloon party. As you know, there are a lot of other options, and there are cheaper options for his team as well. But a West Ham defender is actually quite high up on my list with all of their fixtures. But it is Cresswell to be the lucky lad to join us here. With next, I'm going for a nice pair. A sexy pair. Ooh, I love a pair, lads. A pair of rotation defenders that are also quite cheap and don't break the budget, but I'm comfortable enough benching one of them, but also confident enough to rely on one of them to come on if needs be, you know? With these being James Justin and Max Kilman. And yes, I know these could be potentially fires to put out literally in like 2 weeks, as Jamie Boy Justin is actually a backup defender for Leicester, but their next immediate fixtures include them playing Fulham, Sheffield United and Brighton 3 games in a row, and I can't miss out on those, but also I've owned him since the start, so I already have that bit of cash invested in him. Then a Max Kilman, nowhere near the radar for anyone at the start of the season, never mind Wolves themselves, but has apparently cemented himself as a starter lately, and doesn't look like he's going to be dropped anytime soon. But then again, Wolves have actually got a very difficult run of fixtures, and you never know, after a couple of bad performances, he could really easily lose his place, because they're just quite girthy in that department in their team now. Quite a lot of defenders going around. But the great thing about him is, he's the cheapest play-in defender for one of the best defences in the league, coming in at only 4.3 million. So perfect for a bench rotation option that you can just leave on the bench but also rely on when you need to. Now yeah, these two aren't quite the best and are probably gonna be the weak links in the team for now, where yeah, maybe I should go for a Walker Peters, maybe even a Lamperty. But remember, it's not like the players I choose in this have to stay in my team forever, you know? And for the quite short term and immediate future, they are actually potentially some of the better options. And then later on down the line, if I realise there's another better option, or if I don't want one of them, then I can just get them out anyway, no problemo. So you get what I'm saying, lads, and that's why they're here for now. Moving on to where the big boy money has been spent, into the midfield, starting with Mo Salah. I regret to inform you, lads, of my most embarrassing moment of the year so far. That I haven't actually owned Salah once this season, and I've only owned Mane for one game week as well. And you know what? I have actually coped so far, but I feel like my life would probably be quite a bit easier with him in, you know? Well, Liverpool have also got some pretty damn good fixtures upcoming, with the likes of Brighton, Fulham and West Brom coming up soon. All very heavily captain options for Salah. But also, it is Liverpool. Fixtures don't mean anything to them. They are the hard fixture, and he can score against anyone. So, and sometimes you just need players like that in your team to just not worry about and just leave to one side and just concentrate on everyone else. But then there's the debate between Mane versus Salah. And you know what? I am actually usually more leaning towards Mane, as I feel like his goal involvement and his consistency is just a little bit more predictable, and you can rely on him a little bit more. But with Jota playing in there, actually right now it's Salah that's playing a bit more forward and playing like a striker. And also he's on penalties too. So I probably am willing to pay that little bit extra for just a little bit more extra chance, you know? So I can't be leaving out the Egyptian King here, which is why he's our first midfielder to join us in this wildcard draft. With our next midfielder, who was actually the highest scoring player last season for the team who now potentially have the sexiest fixtures upcoming out of anyone. It's the very sexy ginger lad, Kevin De Bruyne! What am I doing? It has been a little bit quiet in terms of FPL points for him this season, but if you watched any of their games, he hasn't actually been quiet in terms of the action, where he could have very easily got a lot more assists, and also potentially a lot more goals as well. Smacking the crossbar and post here and there, and also missing penalties. How could you? But that penalty miss could actually see him not take the next one. And that is potentially another uncertainty there. But one thing I am certain of is that when Man City play the likes of Fulham, West Brom, Burnley and Newcastle, there's probably just going to be quite a lot of goals as well. And why would you not want to rely on their main creator, their main talisman, to make the team tick, you know, in your team for them fixtures? Which is why Kevin De Bruyne is in my team here, and he's never leaving. With the next player here to join us on this adventure, on the rise, and on this wild card, it's Hakim Ziyech. What an instant impact he has been for this very feisty attacking Chelsea team, where he's just going to continue to be the main creator in that attack, and the glue that sticks all of these good players together. And he has started 2 games for them in the league now, and has already got a goal and 3 assists. And it just feels like that the way they play, that ain't going to stop anytime soon as well. But he might potentially be that annoying kind of player where he always gets the assists, where it looks like he's always involved, but he actually doesn't get incredible amount of points and not massive hauls, and also potentially not on bonus as much. But sometimes those consistent players that always trickle in the points here and there are sometimes the better players to own, just because you can rely on them for getting something, because at the end of the day, FPL points are points. And Chelsea have actually scored more goals than any other team so far, and still haven't had all of their best players fit. So I think this is going to be a reoccurring theme that ain't going to stop anytime soon. Especially with them having some pretty good fixtures upcoming, playing the likes of Newcastle and Leeds very soon. So Hakim can be in my team, hacking in all of the points, joining us on this wildcard draft. Then next, we have the one and only, not quite as good as Mason Mount, but still pretty good. It's Jack Grealish. Nah, I'm not actually Southgate in disguise, and I actually very highly rate Grealish. But also, this season, he's doing pretty well, isn't he? Where he's already got 10 goal contributions in 7 games for them, quite close to his last season's tally already. And especially with Villa now having more of a depthy squad, with players that can help him out a bit more, like the Barclays and Watkins going around, just makes his life way easier, and also can make our life a lot easier if you just own him because he's getting all of the points. Where he also has arguably some of the best upcoming fixtures out of anyone too as well. So at his now price of 7.5 million, just get him in, lads. It's going to save you a lot of pain, and he's just going to keep doing it. And with the form he's actually in, it's not even a bad decision to captain him in some of these games. Yeah, I said it. Why not? Which is why he's our final midfielder in this team. But then, you're probably thinking, lads, yeah, this is a decent draft so far. 2 premium mids and no proper budget enabler midfielders. I don't really like them. But what if I told you, with this team, you could also have a premium forward? Whoa! With the next player joining us here, being Harold Kane. Yes. I know. Everyone's trying to get rid of him right now, as Spurs have probably the worst fixtures ever out of anyone the entire season, and I do agree, but playing devil's advocate here, devil's avocados, Kane is the top point scorer out of anyone, and has been one of the most consistent players out of anyone as well, only blanking in 1 game. Where, are you ready for this? I'm going to say this. In the harder fixtures, he could be even better than what he's been doing. Yeah, I said it. Where the way Spurs play actually works a lot better for them, playing against teams that play out a bit more and don't just sit back. Which is why they scored like 6 goals against United, and also 5 goals against Southampton, where they just play more, but then couldn't break down the likes of Brexit, Burnley or Brighton. So could these harder fixtures actually be better for them? Where Kane is just really trying to get that to that next top level and be like Ronaldo or Messi level, and he's going to try more than ever in games like this to properly prove himself. But also, the fact that so many other people are getting rid of him might actually be quite a good reason to keep him. Where a lot of people are doing these moves where they're downgrading him and potentially getting a premium midfielder in, where maybe they don't have like a Salah or De Bruyne, where we have all 3 of them in this team, where hey. But then if Kane does go and do well, then they have to do another 2 moves later on, which could take them a couple more weeks, but you have them all, so you already have that edge. Where then, yeah, okay, if he does not do much in the next 3 or 4 games, then it's not the end of the world, and you just have all of the room to spread out your funds again, and then just do what's best later on. So will this be quite an idiot sandwich move, or is it tactical genius? Now, a lot of people will say, no, don't get Kane, that's stupid. But honestly, it's not that bad. And people forget that the elite, consistent players will still do it in any fixtures, like the Salahs and the De Bruynes. And I think Harry Kane is definitely at that level this season, which is why he's in my team for now in this wildcard draft. With the next player here being one of my favourite players to own this season, and actually the Mr. Consistent. It's Dominic Calvert-Lewandowski, all of the goals ski, where he's played 8 games and got 8 non-penalty goals, and also got 1 assist as well. Wow, perfect. Where he's just the ultimate poacher, the ultimate tap-in merchant, where he could have a really bad game, literally 3 touches a game, you haven't even seen him, you don't even know he's on the pitch, and then he still goes and gets a goal, which is absolutely perfect for a now 7.8 mil price player. But if you were an absolute expert like me, you've had him in since he was 7.0, so an absolute bargain for me. Where yeah, if I bought him quite later on, then I might want to reconsider, but with that much value in him, and also playing like Fulham and Burnley up next, where he could quite easily get a few goals, and then he can also score against anyone anyway. He's probably one of the first names on my team sheet for me anyway, where he also has players like James, Digne and Richarlison back around him as well now, to help him just keep this consistency up and just keep on scoring, which is why he is my penultimate choice here. With the final gentleman to potentially join the almighty Nathan Bacon FC in this wildcard team, it's Oliver Watkins. Now, his first 5 games were a bit of a funny one here in FPL, where he didn't score against Fulham, Leeds or Sheffield United, but then he scores a hat-trick against Liverpool. Fair enough. But he is definitely growing more and more into this team, where he has now scored back-to-back games for Villa as well. But as we mentioned with Jack Grealish, playing Brighton, West Ham, Newcastle, Burnley, West Brom and Palace next. All of them, all of the best teams. Teams who usually concede quite a few as well, but also potentially concede a few headers. And let me tell you something, lads. This guy has actually got like a metal skull, where he's just got the most powerful head I've ever seen. And also not the worst of right and left foots on him as well. So I reckon a double Villa attack here could actually be very beneficial, as quite a lot of people will probably have at least 1 Villa attacker, but you could double up and get that slight edge, where potentially some other people might have doubled up in the defence, or got 2 Villa keepers, so it is hard for them to get the double attack, and it's just all more points for you to gain over other people. So there we have it. Obviously not a final draft because that's illegal when you have your wildcard active. You've got to do at least 2,000 for it to count. And also, if I have not convinced you enough with Kane, you could easily drop him down to like a Werner or a Vardy, or maybe turn him into a midfielder and get like a Bruno or Rashford in with their next sexy fixtures, which then could also potentially allow you to upgrade one of the defenders to maybe like a Man City defender, which is high up on a lot of people's lists as well. But what I do want to say with this wildcard is it's kind of structured for the long term. One premium-ish defender, one mid-range, and two budget rotators that I can choose who I want. Two premium mids, one slightly mid-range, and then one slightly cheaper, but also not budget because I don't like the really budget midfielders. And then also one premium forward, one kind of mid-range now, and another budget boy. And obviously personnel should be the first thought when choosing players here on a wildcard, but for a wildcard team that's going to be long-term as your first wildcard, you know, I might not potentially use my next one for another 20 or so game weeks. This structure in place allows me to get in any possible player, maybe in just one transfer, rather than having to use 2 or 3, you know? As you have these price points for each position, you have a premium, a mid-range, and a budgeter. But then also, you want to make sure you're quite happy with all the players you actually choose, and right now, here, I quite am. As you don't really want to have some potential fires that you want to put out quite quickly and then start to have a lot of problems around your team. Now, this will obviously change, and you know what? After just talking about my team here, I've been tempted to change a few of them as well already, so I like it. And there's still just loads of decisions to make, and a lot of things could change over the next 2 weeks, especially with potential international break injuries or maybe just that spicy cold going around as well. But one thing that does really stick out with this draft for me right now is the captain choice for Game Week 9. As the clear captain for Game Week 9 would probably be a Man United player as they play West Brom, but I don't have any Man United players near, so might not be too clear. But then also, there's no Leicester attacker in their good fixtures, there's no Southampton and they're doing quite well, and also it doesn't have the big boy Bamford, the most clinical striker ever to exist. But for now, this is my first wildcard draft that for now I'm happy with, and will definitely change, but for now it's this. But I will be bringing to you updated drafts as I go along in this international break, as it's just quite boring in it and I got nothing else to do than just tinker with this team, so something fun for us lads. But there we have it. Tell me what you would do different from this team. Tell me who you would go for if you're on a wildcard. Maybe you are on a wildcard. What is it looking like for now? But that is it for me today. Thanks for watching, and remember,
don't be a cheeky scrub. Subscribe to Nathan Bacon right now. Don't let your memes be dreams.